and diverse island in the Pacific Ocean is the project-based learning school, West Hawaii Explorations Academy, also known as WHEA. WHEA TV is student videos made to connect their lifestyle on the Big Island to the learning they do in school. What are we doing today, Ethan?
We are walking to the shoreline.
Awesome.
Hi everybody, so I'm doing my second part of the Connections project. So this picture of this guitar you guys see right here is the first surviving 6-string guitar. It was built in 1791 by Giovanni Battista. I don't really know how to pronounce his name correctly. And so this is one of his 6-string guitars from 1795 or 1798. And this next picture you guys see of another guitar was another of his guitars, but I believe this one was made in 1805. This guitar was represented his style of construction and appearance. So these are one of the very first guitars ever made. What I see right here is a 6-string guitar by George Louis Panoramo in 1832. The modern classical guitar took its present form when the Spanish maker Antonio Torres increased the size of the body, altered its proportions, and introduced the revolutionary fan-top bracing pattern in around 1850. His design radically improved the volume, tone, and projection of the instrument, and very soon became accepted construction standard. It has remained essentially unchanged and unchallenged to this day. So I really like this guitar and the patterns. One of my favorite patterns on guitars. So yeah.
So today I'm going to be talking about some math behind guitar. So making an octave. Pythagoras, an ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician, discovered an interesting relationship between sound and the length of the string producing it. One experiment describes him shortening a string by half and producing a note 1 octave higher than the original string. So you can try this out by placing your finger on the 12th fret of your guitar, which is the halfway point of a guitar string. The note you play will be 1 octave higher than when you leave the string open. So I'm going to do it right here. So when I put my finger on the 12th fret and I play it, it's higher than when I play it open. So that was just a little bit of math behind guitar.
First the weather's down. 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 The universe was made from that cloud. Spiraling around. All the galaxies are made of stars. In the night sky you can see them from afar. Around our star, the sun is the solar system. All the planets spinning in eternal rhythm. On our planet, Mother Earth, you find all of us. We're all made from the same stardust. We're all made from the same stardust. We're all made from the same stardust.
Hi, my name's Max, and I'll be talking about the history of piano. Hope you guys enjoy. Frenchman Henry Fourneau invents the player piano, which plays itself using a piano roll and mechanics in 1863.
Standard piano octave consisting of 13 keys, each separated by a half step. A standard major or minor scale uses 8 of these keys, with 5 whole step intervals and 2 half step ones. And the first half of measure 50, for example, consists of 3 notes in D major, separated by intervals called thirds that skip over the next note in the scale. By stacking the scale's first, third, and fifth notes, D, F sharp, and A, we get a harmonic pattern known as a triad. But these aren't just arbitrary magic numbers. Rather, they represent the mathematical relationship between the pitch frequencies of different notes, which form a geometric series. If we begin with the note A3 at 220 Hz, the series can be expressed with this equation, where n corresponds to successive notes on the keyboard. The D major triplet from the Moonlight Sonata uses n values 5, 9, and 12. And by plugging these into the function, we can graph the sine wave for each note, allowing us to see the patterns that Beethoven could not hear. When all three of the sine waves are graphed, they intersect at their starting point of 0, 0, and again at 0, 0.042. Within this span, the D goes through 2 full cycles, F sharp through 2.5, and A goes through 3. This pattern is known as consonance, which sounds naturally pleasant to our ears. But perhaps equally captivating is Beethoven's use of dissonance. Take a look at measures 52 through 54, which feature triplets containing the notes B and C. As their sine graphs show, the waves are largely out of sync, matching up rarely, if at all. And it is by contrasting this dissonance with the consonance of the D major triad in the preceding measures that Beethoven adds the unquantifiable elements of emotion and creativity to the certainty of mathematics.
The first bodyboard that was ever created was the Pipo board. The Pipo board was created with koa wood and it was carved into a rectangular shape, but no one knows who created the Pipo board. It was created in 2000 BC. The Pipo board was made of wood. It was made from an ancient Polynesian. The first person who brought back the bodyboarding in an exploding way in popularity and in history is Tom Morey. Tom Morey invented the mooring board in 1971 by an American surfer on July 7th. He cut a rectangular shape of polyethylene foam and covered it with newspaper. The first bodyboard was born and history was made. Thomas Morey is the inventor of the mooring board. When he was just a grom, he used to body surf on his dad's back. When Thomas Morey got older, he was into body surfing, so he decided to try and create something new. He graduated in mathematics at the University of Southern California. He used his skills to make several surfing inventions. After he learned how to make the bodyboard, he started to improve his invention to make it more durable, and it became into a professional sport. He started making contests and giving money to the best athletes that won. People don't know who the first adopters were, but Tom Morey basically brought it back. But after Tom Morey was done inventing the first bodyboard, people started making better versions, and now you can do way more than what you could have done back then on the older style boards. The sport of bodyboarding is important in history because it can make you one with the ocean. It also can relieve stress if you love the sport, and it can teach you how to respect the ocean. Also, you have permanent contact with the ocean. This sport became a huge thing in history when people started entering in contests. One of his obstacles through making his board was finding a better solution to stop using glue. Thomas Murray found out that the glue was affecting his health, which made him find something else to use. So he started selling a kit with tape, cores, and skins, without the glue.
Presley, and in my last video, I went over the impactful invention I chose, the light bulb. And today we're going over its history. Stay tuned for more! The first light bulb that was made was in 1835 by James Bowman. In 1995, Suji Nakamura created an LED light bulb. In the year 1910, Paris came out with neon lighting in their streets.
At the start of the mount line, a machine cuts glass tubing into pieces of specific lengths. The cut tubes land on what's called a glazing wheel that runs them through a gas flame for about 7 seconds. This heats the glass enough to smooth the surface. The glazed tubes now enter a flare-making machine, which heats each tube until the glass is malleable, then stretches one end into a flared shape. The next machine loads 2 copper lead wires into the flare end. Then it inserts a thin glass cylinder called the exhaust tube. A trip through a series of progressively hotter flames softens the tubes. A press then moves in to squash them, encasing the wires in glass. At the same time, the machine makes a tiny hole in the glass in between the wires. This is to later remove the air from inside the bulb. It'll exit via the exhaust tube through this hole. Next, the machine separates the lead wires and forms the ends into hooks. These fasten to a filament, a thin wire coil made of tungsten, a type of metal that holds up well to heat. the machine coats the lead wires in a liquid form of another metal, zirconium. This lengthens their lifespan by making them more resistant to moisture inside the bulb. Like the tubes, the bulbs are made of an inexpensive type of glass called soda lime glass. A machine stamps the top of each bulb with the voltage, the wattage, and the company logo. Opaque light bulbs are simply clear bulbs with an inside coating of synthetic silica, a white powder. The coating machine charges the bulbs to 30,000 volts. Combined with just the right amount of heat, this electrical charge makes a thin layer of powder cling to the glass. A series of flames evaporates the moisture and breaks off any impurities. As the two production lines merge, a bulb goes over each mount.
Uneven bars were invented in the 1950s, early 1960s by German Friedrich John, who is usually considered the father of gymnastics, and since then they have evolved a lot. In the late 1950s, gymnasts started to do more difficult routines that included wrapping the body at the hips around the low bar while hanging from the high bar, and beats, which were bouncing the hips on the low bar while hanging on the high bar. Release moves also began to be used. First, the routines were almost all transitions between the low bar and the high bar. The bars became more adjustable, wider, and with more sturdy equipment anchored in cables that held the apparatus to the floor. The circumference of the bars got smaller, allowing young female gymnasts to better hold on, grasp, and swing more difficult skills like giants. In spite of the years of ripped and bruised hips, the width between the uneven bars was not widened until a few girls began doing giants, and it became evident that girls were regularly to be doing giants between the bars. Bars had to be carefully set so that gymnasts would hit their hips exactly where they bent at the waist, not on the hip bone, the hitting of which was extremely painful. Whole categories of wrapping skills, including wrap uprises, short kips, wrap turn, full turn, wrap release moves, wrap releases, and hitch dismounts were developed. Most of those skills are not done at all today.